AITA for refusing to cover my coworker's shifts after she called me lazy for not having kids. My coworker, Sarah, has 2 kids and often asks me to cover her shifts due to kid emergencies, which I've done many times. Recently, I said no because I had plans, and she commented that I must have plenty of free time since I don't have kids. I told her my time is important too, but since then, she's been telling others I'm selfish and don't understand how hard it is to be a mom. I, 28F, work full-time in retail, and as anyone who's worked in retail knows, it can be pretty exhausting. I've got a busy life outside of work, trying to balance my hobbies, taking care of my apartment, seeing friends, and just taking care of myself. You know, normal adult stuff. I don't have kids, but that doesn't mean I'm lounging around with endless free time. One of my coworkers, Sarah, 32F, has 2 young kids. She's always asking people to cover her shifts, which I understand because being a mom is hard and things come up. Over the past year, I've covered for her quite a few times when she had to leave early or couldn't make it in because of some kid emergency. I did it out of kindness because I get that life can be unpredictable and I wanted to help her out. But I've started to notice that I'm one of the only ones she asks to help cover her shifts. It's like she expects me to do it just because I don't have the same responsibilities as her. Last week, she asked me again to cover for her because her kid had a school event. Normally, I'd try to help, but I already had plans to spend the day with my sister, who I hadn't seen in a while. I told Sarah I couldn't this time, and she just sighed and said, "Must be nice to have all that free time. You don't have kids, so it's not like you're busy with anything important." I was pretty taken aback. I told her, just because I don't have kids doesn't mean I don't have a life. My time is important too. She kind of rolled her eyes and walked away, but I could tell she wasn't happy with me. Now she's been telling our other coworkers that I'm selfish and don't understand how hard it is to be a mom. A couple of them have started acting a bit distant toward me, and I overheard one of them saying something like, "She has it easy. No wonder she doesn't get it." I didn't realize not having kids made me less deserving of respect at work. What really gets me is that I've always tried to help when I could. But just because I don't have kids doesn't mean my life is suddenly stress-free or that I can drop everything at a moment's notice. I feel like Sarah doesn't respect my time at all, and that really bothers me. I ended up mentioning it to my manager, hoping for a little understanding, but they just said it's a personal conflict and didn't want to get involved. So now I'm stuck feeling like the bad guy because I said no for once. I honestly don't think it's fair to expect me to cover her shifts all the time just because I don't have children. I have responsibilities too, and I deserve to have a life outside of work. But some of my coworkers seem to think I should be helping out more because Sarah's a mom and I'm not. Am I being selfish here? AITA for finally standing my ground and refusing to cover her shifts after she basically called me lazy. Relevant comments. Commenter: you've been more than generous in helping Sarah in the past, and it's not okay for her to expect you to keep covering for her. Having kids doesn't entitle her to demand more of your time. Commenter: NTA, stop helping any disrespectful bitches who think they're entitled to your time because you're worthless without kids. Make it a blanket policy, because cliquey, backstabbing women in the workplace are the worst. I've copped this too. One workplace I wasn't allowed to take time off at all over summer for 7 years in a row because I didn't have kids, so I, apparently, didn't need to, but the people with kids did. Commenter: I dealt with that at a workplace as well. I was scheduled the first Christmas day we were open, a casino, and I decided I wasn't doing it again. All the parents fought for prime summer weeks during the first round of vacation picks. I chose Christmas Eve to New Year's Eve. Then Christmas came around and they were bitching because I didn't have kids, and them spending Christmas with their kids was more important than what I was doing. I told them directly to F off and informed them my mom had late-stage breast cancer. I am her kid, and I'm not missing her last Christmas or 2 for them because they wanted to go away in the summer. I left 2 years later, and I got to enjoy, mostly, the last 3 Christmas days with my mom and family. Story 2. AITA for laughing when she suggested my husband groomed me. I, 30, have been with my husband, 40, for 6 years, and we've been married for 2. Recently, we got a new coworker. Let's call her Sarah, who seems really keen on helping others. During lunch one day, Sarah and I were talking about relationships, and she asked about my marriage. I told her how long we've been together, and she got this serious look on her face. She said something like, "You know, that age difference is a bit concerning. Are you sure he didn't groom you?" I was completely caught off guard. My husband and I have a perfectly healthy relationship, and honestly, I intentionally sought out someone older because I like the stability and experience that comes with it. The idea of him grooming me just seemed so absurd that I couldn't help it. I burst out laughing. I didn't intend to be rude, but it was just so ridiculous to me. Sarah mumbled something I didn't care to hear, and and left the conversation soon after. I thought it was over, but later I found out that she's been talking behind my back, telling the other coworkers that I was rude for laughing at her and that she was just trying to help. But what really got me was that she's been telling people to avoid my creepy husband at an upcoming work party, as if he's some kind of predator. Now I'm starting to feel a bit guilty for how I reacted, but also kind of furious that she's bad-mouthing my husband, who she's never even met. So, AITA for laughing when she suggested my husband groomed me? Relevant comments. Commenter: you should complain to HR about her accusations and slander against your husband. OP: it's really the calling him creepy that makes me upset. I'm her boss, so I could fire her myself if I wanted, but I know that would look like I'm just petty. Commenter: I think you're being way too nonchalant about all this. If you have an HR dept worth a shit, her behavior will warrant being written up and spoken with at very least. If your HR dept is weak, take matters into your own hands. Call her into your office. Say, Sarah, the other day, without any evidence whatsoever, you implied that my husband had groomed me like he was some sort of a sexual predator. I laughed at the time because it was a ridiculous notion and a ridiculous thing to say to me. But I want to be clear here. My personal life is none of your business, and it's inappropriate for you to give your unwanted opinions on it to me. Likewise, if I hear from anyone else that you are talking about my personal life to our colleagues at work, I will fire you. Now, who have you told that my husband was creepy? Let's get the air cleared right now. Then you bring all the people whom she told that to into your office, and you make it clear to everyone involved that this is the kind of toxic rumor-mongering that destroys a healthy work environment. Lay down your expectations for professional behavior. Don't just continue to shrug this one off or second-guess yourself because you burst out laughing from something outrageous that Sarah said to you. Story 3. AITA for telling a church group to leave the restaurant after I heard their prayer. Throwaway just in case. So I, 21F, work at a small restaurant filled with locals and church groups who frequent the restaurant quite often. For context, I'm in a relationship with someone I met at the restaurant, and most of the people here know that. On to the story. This afternoon, I had a church group of 8 come in. I know them all by name. 2 in particular are Josh and his son Adam, who wasn't in attendance today. Everything is going fine. Normal conversation is flowing, and at the end, they ask me to join hands with them in prayer. I don't practice any religion, but for my customers, I bow my head in respect, let them say their prayer, and finish off with an amen. That didn't happen today. Josh started the prayer, and as we near the end, I feel him squeeze my hand a little and say, "And Jesus, we ask you to free this beautiful young lady from her ties to another man for my boy Adam. I know in my heart, and with you, that they are meant to be together, but don't want it to happen in sin. Again, I ask you to please free this woman from her." I stopped listening at this point, pulled my hand away, and left the table. I got Adam's number from a mutual friend of ours and called him to ask WTF his group was on about. He was very apologetic and told me that he had a crush on me way back when I first started to work at the restaurant, almost 2 years ago at this point. That is long gone, as he knew we had different beliefs, along with wanting to still come to the restaurant without any awkward tension. Apparently, his dad took this little crush and effing ran with it. He told me at church that his group prays about this all the time, and that he doesn't attend as much because of it, along with the fact that their preacher even mentioned it a couple times during group prayer. I guess he called his dad because he came up to me and berated me for interrupting his prayer and for calling Adam to tell on him. I told him his prayer made me very uncomfortable, as I'm secure in my relationship and will never step out in favor of Adam. I said, "I don't know what you think praying about it will do, but no form of any God would ask me to leave my partner in your favor to make you, and only you, happy. You and anyone else actively participating in your fucked up fantasy can leave." So they did. Our owner knows these people well, and also attends the same church, so obviously she heard about it. She told me that she knows I have different beliefs, but not to talk to people that way in the restaurant, as it's a bad look on her as well. I apologized for the hurtful words I used, but I will not let anyone think that praying for me to leave my partner will work, nor will I stand being directly disrespected in a group of people like that. AITA? Relevant comments. Commenter: Josh's behavior was completely inappropriate and disrespectful. It's understandable that you felt uncomfortable and reacted the way you did. You have the right to stand up for yourself and your relationship. Commenter: your business's owner should have done better. Not having her employees back when they are made an unwitting part of some pervert's arranged marriage fantasy is what is a bad look on her. Commenter: he absolutely did the right thing. It's one thing to pray for blessings, but it's another to try and manipulate someone's relationship. That's not prayer, that's coercion. If they were any kind of truly believing people, they'd pray for God's will and not their own. So unless you hear from him, carry on. Story 4. AITA for telling my sister I'm not watching her kids after I said I would. My sister was unemployed for almost 2 years after a layoff. She got used to being home with her 2 children. My sister and her husband are tight on money. My sister asked me about watching her kids while she starts a new job since I'm a stay-home mom. I said yes at first, but my sister handed me a list of rules, things like a daily schedule that would seriously upset my own children's daily routine. Then she gave me an approved menu for her kids and what I can and can't feed them because they are on a healthy whole food diet. I flat out told my sister this isn't going to work and I'm not going to watch your kids. My sister offered to buy the organic whole food. I told her no, that's not the point. I'm not making your children separate lunches and I'm not going by your schedule. I'm watching the kids for free. They get what they get. That's it. My sister said she would find something else but didn't expect inflation on childcare services to be so high. She reached back out to me asking for a compromise because it will disrupt her children's schedule if I don't follow it, and the food I make my children might give hers a tummy ache. I told my sister there's no way in hell this is going to work, and I'm not watching her kids now or never because she's being such a diva. My sister complained that what is she going to do? She starts her new job on Monday. I told her, maybe don't act. Your children are royalty when you can't even afford a babysitter. My sister hasn't talked to me since, and my mom has tried to talk to me about the situation. But even mom agrees she wouldn't watch those kids with all of my sister's unrealistic demands. Relevant comments. Commenter. NTA. The demands your sister made are only appropriate for one childcare option: hiring a nanny. A nanny will follow the schedule you dictate for the children. A nanny can be expected to make the children food to your specifications. Those are big reasons why some people choose nannies. But in other childcare situations, those demands simply cannot be met. In any group care situation, the children will be following the schedule set by the caregiver center. It's simply impossible to cater to multiple schedules. And if you want special meals for your children other than what the center provides, if they provide any, then you need to prepare, pack, and send those. If you want to negotiate with your sister, I would tell her that if she packs her children pre-made lunches, you would be willing to serve them. But you are not making 2 meals, and your schedule is what it is. She can take it or find other childcare. Kids adjust to new schedules all the time, so do adults. It's part of life, but that's your offer, and she can take it or leave it. Commenter. Your children and their comfort and schedule are your priority. You offered to watch your sister's children. You didn't offer to upend your life or the lives of your children to accommodate your sister's demands while you watch her children for free. My sister said she would find something else but didn't expect inflation on childcare services to be so high. She reached back out to me asking for a compromise because it will disrupt her children's schedule if I don't follow it, and the food I make my children might give hers a tummy ache. It's really not your problem. The only compromise your sister wants is for you to agree to her list of demands, and that's not going to happen. If she didn't research the cost of childcare before accepting the position, she has no one to blame but herself. She made the mistake of looking the gift horse in the mouth. Story 5. AITA for refusing to go to my wife's brother's wedding. Hi all. I have been married for 2005 years to my wife. My wife is 27 and I am 28. My wife's brother is getting married in late November. In the beginning, we had a somewhat distant relationship, but we became friends, to the point that he frequently visits our apartment, and we also hang out without my wife. My problem isn't with my brother-in-law, it's with the woman he is marrying. I'll call her Glenda from now on. Glenda is my ex-girlfriend. I have let him know as soon as he mentioned her for the first time, but he decided to continue dating her. Glenda and I didn't part ways on the best of terms. Our relationship was an emotional roller coaster that was emotionally draining. She had an irrational fear that I would leave her completely alone, emotional outbursts, self-esteem issues, and anxiety. I am a pretty calm person, and tried to deal with it and reassure her. In the end, it didn't matter. I found out that she cheated on me multiple times with multiple people. After a lot of crying from her, I told her we were done. I gave her the legally required time to move out of my apartment. She proceeded to steal my late grandmother's diamond ring and maxed out my credit card that I had given to her. Should have asked it back immediately, leaving me with $3,000 debt. Then she told lies about me to everyone who would listen. I was a shitty boyfriend, used drugs, was lazy and psychotic. I told my wife I'm not going to their wedding. I still have a lot of negative feelings toward her. Glenda told my wife that she's been formally diagnosed with borderline and has been in therapy for some time, and that she's also taking medication. Apparently, she's doing better. Ever since they started dating, we have had very little contact, mostly because of me. My wife called me an ass for not going to her brother's wedding with her, saying she is disappointed in me and that I shouldn't dwell on the past too much. Relevant comments. Commenter. Your wife is a jerk. The specifics of the situation aside, if you're not comfortable going, She should be understanding. She should want you to keep your peace in whatever way you need to. If she can't go to a wedding alone, it says a lot more about her than you. Your NTA. I'm sorry she's disregarding your past and present feelings. If I had to take a guess, I'd say it might upset her that you're bothered. She may think that means you still have some kind of feelings. Try to reassure her if you want to. I think that would be a good first step. But if you really don't want to go, don't go. Commenter. Let's say Glenda has improved. For the sake of argument, she hasn't done anything to atone for what she did to OP, no sign of the stolen ring or the money paid back. OP is valid in not being around her or at her wedding. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you enjoyed our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with our latest ones. Have a great day. Have a